Hello everyone, this is part 4 of how to make a mini golf game in Scratch, and this is the final part of this entire series. In this video, I'll be improving the aim and the maps, and I'll also be adding bumpers and sand to make the game more fun. I'll also add a restart level and game complete screen. If you haven't seen parts 1, 2, or 3 yet, check them out, links are in the description below. But before we begin, this video is sponsored by Soba. Have you ever wanted to create your own mobile games without coding? With Soba you can, and it's super easy. You can build all types of games from your phone, and the best part is you can play them with your friends or with anyone on the platform. So download Soba now. Link is in the description below. But anyways, let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is to fix the aim. Because for example, if we aim the ball over here, then the ball should go past that corner. However, if we release, then as you can see here, the ball crashed into the corner, and that was not supposed to happen. So the reason for that is because inside of our ball sprite, we aim based off of how far we drag our mouse pointer, and that's based off of mouse X and mouse Y. However, mouse X and mouse Y are all whole numbers, and we are unable to get their decimal points. So that's why it's not super accurate. So to fix that, let's make it so that our farthest circle of our aim line is our new point where the ball is trying to go towards. So let's go inside of our aim sprite, and let's create a new variable. And I'll call this largest clone available. All right, and then click OK. And under the when flag clicked, let's set largest clone available to 0. Okay, now let's go under the show aim block. And inside of this if statement, let's go to control and then grab another if statement, put it inside of there, and let's go to operators and drag a not and drag a lesser than sign. Now let's go inside of variables and drag clone number. So if not clone number is lesser than the largest clone available, then let's set largest clone available to clone number. So what this if statement just does is that this checks if the clone number is greater than or equal to the largest clone available, then we are going to set our largest clone available to the clone number. So now we want to store that inside of a X and Y position. So I'm going to create a new variable, and I'll call this furthest X, and then click OK. And I'll also create a new variable and call it furthest Y. Okay, now inside of this if, let's drag furthest X, and let's set that equal to X position. And I'm going to right click duplicate, and also set furthest Y to the Y position. And now one more thing is that we also want to set largest clone available to 0 inside of the else, just to reset it. So now if you just try this out, then our furthest X and furthest Y is based off of the furthest white circle that is shown from the aim. Alright, now let's go inside of our ball sprite, and inside of our shoot, instead of using drag offset X and drag offset Y, let's go to operators, grab a minus operator, put it inside of these two, and let's go to variables, drag furthest X on the left, furthest Y on the left, and do minus X position and Y position, just like that. Okay, so now if we just try this out, then the aim should be more accurate. So let's try going inside of hole 2, and let's try aiming it right past the corner again, just like that. And let's see if the ball goes in this direction. And it does. Awesome. So now we have a super accurate aim, and everything seems to work perfectly. Now the next thing I want to do is that I want to decrease the size of our map costumes, because right now they are way too large and it's sort of hard to make changes to the map. So to fix this, I am just going to decrease the size of our maps, just like that. And I'll make sure to still have the same spawn point for the ball, which is this X over here that appears. So I'll have the ball appear over here. And I do want to decrease the outline size to maybe something like 3. Okay. And it's hard to see the outline, so I'll just make it black for a quick second. So the outline is about that thick. All right, I'll make it white again. And I'll also do the same for our second map. Okay, so now these maps are now smaller, so it's easier to edit. And if we just try them out, the maps are now really small. So I'm going to increase the size of the maps. So I'm going to go inside of looks and drag a set size to block. I'll do maybe something like 300. Okay, maybe 270. Okay, so it says the max size is 260, because if we try any larger size, then the size over here is stuck at 260. So I'm just going to make these 260. And I'm going to drag this under the update positions. All right, now we also want to update the map collider. So let's go to the costumes of our map and then select it and copy it. So I'm going to press Ctrl C and then go to our map collider sprite, delete our current costume, and then Ctrl V or paste it. And now I'm just going to select the fill and then select no fill. All right, now I'm going to do the same for the other costume. So inside of our map sprite, select the costume, Ctrl C, go to the map collider, go to the second costume, remove this, Ctrl V to paste it, and then go to fill and select no fill. Awesome, so now we have updated our colliders. And we also want to go inside of the code of our colliders and also drag a set size to 260%. All right, now if we try it out, then our colliders have also updated. So now we pretty much have the same thing. Cool. And everything should work just like so. Now I do want to update the position of our goal, so it should be down a bit. So I'm going to go inside of the goal sprite, and now we should be good for our maps. All right, now the next thing I want to add are bouncers. So bouncers are pretty much these circles on the map where if the ball collides with it, then it's going to bounce super fast away from the bouncer. So I'm going to create a new sprite, and I'll call this bouncer. All right, and for our bouncer, I am going to create a circle. I'm going to hold Shift to create a perfect circle. I'm going to select a yellow fill for our bouncer, and I'll do no outline. And then I'll center the circle, just like that. And I'll create a simple bouncer image. All right, this is my finished bouncer. I have these arrows, which I created with this tool. And I also have this nice shadow effect by just creating another circle and putting it under our main circle. So now we want the bouncers to be able to move with the camera, just like the map. So let's go inside of our map sprite. And I'm going to drag the bouncer sprite up over here. Okay. And I'm going to go inside of the map sprite. And I'm going to drag all of these blocks. So drag this inside of the bouncer sprite. All right. And now if we just try this out real quick, then we have a bouncer just like that. Awesome. But now one thing you might notice is that if the bouncer goes off screen, then it doesn't hide completely. So to fix that, let's go inside of the bouncer sprite. And inside of our update positions, what we can do is that we can go to looks and set size to something like 999% or a super large number and put it right before the go to XY. So this is a nice trick which essentially makes the sprite super large before going to a specific position, and that makes the sprite able to go off the screen really smoothly, just like that. Now keep in mind, this trick only works if our sprites are centered. So make sure your sprite is centered in the center of the drawing area. Alright, and I also want to make sure the bouncers appear on top of the map no matter what. So I'm going to set the layer to a lower number, which means more in front. So I'll do 103. And I also want the bouncer to not appear right on top of the golf ball. So I'll make it go maybe Y50, let's say, maybe 80, and that should be an okay place. And now let's make the ball actually collide with the bouncer. So inside of the ball sprite, let's go to our move X block. And now we also want to check for our bouncers. So I'm going to right click and duplicate and put this on the bottom and change this to if touching bouncers. And if the ball is touching a bouncer, then we want it to bounce a lot in the opposite direction. So let's try something like x velocity times -8. And we also want to make sure to change this to repeat until not touching bouncers. And let's do the same thing for the move Y. So let's right click, duplicate, put this on the bottom, if touching bouncers, then set Y velocity to Y velocity times something like -8. Repeat until not touching bouncers. Okay, so now if we just try this out, then the ball bounces off the bouncer just like that. Cool. And it works with different angles, like so. Though I do want to add some randomness to the bounce, like how much the ball gets bounced and where the ball gets bounced to. So to add that randomness, let's first go inside of our move X, and let's go to variables, and also change Y velocity to a random amount once the ball touches the bouncer. So let's go to operators, grab a pick random from, and let's do -1 to 1. And let's right click duplicate and do just change X velocity by pick random -1 to 1 under the move Y block. So now this introduces a bit of randomness and also prevents the ball from just permanently bouncing up and down if it collides with a bouncer head on, just like that. So if we try this out, then the ball does go in a bit more of a random direction. And if you want a bit better collision, then we can go inside of our move X and we can grab an absolute of operator and drag the X velocity inside of there. And let's do a plus operator, drag this on the left, and let's add a pick random, let's say 8 to 10. So this will make the ball's X velocity increase by a random amount from 8 to 10. And let's grab a multiplication operator, drag this on the left side, and then drag a divides operator, put it on the right, and let's grab X velocity, put it on the left, and let's go to operators, drag a multiplication sign, put it on the right, and let's duplicate this absolute of X velocity, put it on the left, and multiply by -1. So this was a super large chunk of code, but what this does is that this now also randomizes the X velocity once the ball collides with a bouncer. So that'll make the bouncing now a bit better. And I'll do the same thing for the move Y. So I'm going to right click, duplicate, and I am going to take out this for the Y velocity, drag this in, like so, and change all of these to Y velocity, just like so. Okay, so now we have even more randomness. So if we just try this out, the X and Y velocities are now even more random once the ball collides with the bouncer. Awesome. Now next up, let's add some sand. So I'm going to right click our bouncer sprite and duplicate it, and I'll call this sand. And what sand does is that once the ball goes over the sand, then it's going to slow down. So I'm going to drag this after bouncers and inside of the costumes. I am going to grab the rectangle tool and I'll just draw a patch of sand and I'll make the fill a yellow fill, sort of like that. All right. And if we just try this out, we now have a sand patch. And for now, I'm just going to put this on the top left of the map over there. So I will move this maybe to the right by 5 or maybe 4 for the X, and Y I'll make it around 200. Okay, maybe 170, 180, and something like that. Now let's go inside of the ball and let's make it collide with the sand. So let's go to our update velocity block and let's create a new variable. I'll call this sand multiplier. And I'm just going to select for this sprite only and click OK. All right. Now let's go to control and grab an if else. And let's check if touching the sand, then let's set sand multiplier to something like 0.85. Else, let's set sand multiplier to 1. So this means that the ball is going to go 0.85 times slower. So let's drag this on the top. And now to make the ball actually go slower, let's change these X and Y velocity variables. So let's go to operators, grab a multiplication, go to variables, and drag sand multiplier on the right. And let's drag this on the left. And I'm also going to right click duplicate and do the same for the Y velocity. Awesome. And that should be it. So if we just try this out, then once the ball goes into the sand, it slows down just like that. Cool. So as you can see, this is normal friction. And once the ball goes inside of the sand, the friction is now really high. So the ball stops really quickly. And the sand also works with the bouncer. Just like so. So now that we have both the sand and the bouncers, now we want to put the sand and the bouncers in multiple positions, in multiple levels. So to do that, I'm going to first create a few new maps. So I'm going to go inside of the map sprite, and I'm going to right-click duplicate, and I'll just make a third map, just like this, and this is going to have some bouncers in it, and I'm going to right-click duplicate, add a fourth map. Okay. And I think for now, I am just going to have 4 maps. And I'm also going to copy the maps, go to the map collider sprite, create a new costume, and then paste it and remove the fill. So I'll do the same for the 4th map. All right. And now we also have the colliders. Now, how I'm going to position the bouncers for these maps is that I am first going to go to the bouncer's costume and then select it, and I'm just going to group it over here just to make it easier to drag. All right, now I'm going to select it and then copy it, so Control C, and then go inside of the map sprite. And for the maps which I want the bouncers in them, for example, the second map, then I am going to Control V or paste it and drag it to where I want the bouncers. So I think one over here and then one over here. Okay, so maybe 2 over here. So now after I'm done with the placements, I am going to select both of these by selecting on one and then holding Shift and then selecting the other to select both. And then I'm going to copy again, so Control C, and then go to our bouncers sprite. And I'm going to create a new costume and just Control V. Cool. So now the bouncers should be in the exact place that they were on the map. Now the last thing to do is that I want to drag these two onto the center. And again, it's important to center these bouncers because otherwise this sizing thing won't work and the bouncers won't be able to go off the screen completely. All right, now that we have that, we have to make sure to go back to the map and delete those 2 bouncers which we added. And now in our second map, we have our 2 bouncers over here. Cool. Now one thing though is that they aren't placed in the correct position. So let's go to the bouncer sprite and see where to place them. So let's try X, maybe 80. Okay, maybe 120, 110, 105, maybe 100. All right, somewhere around here. And for the Y, I'll do something like 100. Okay, I think X 100 and Y 100 is a good place to put the bouncers. All right, now let's store these X and Y values inside of a list. So I'm going to scroll down, create a new list, and similar to how we created our goal positions X and Y, let's create our bouncer positions X and also bouncer positions Y. Okay, now inside of the bouncer sprite, I'm going to go to events, drag a win flag clicked, and I'm going to delete all of bouncer positions X and bouncer positions Y. And I am going to add the values inside of bouncer positions X and Y. So for the first level, I actually don't want any bouncers to appear. So to make the bouncer not show up in the first level, we can go inside of the costumes and just simply delete the bouncer sprite for the first costume. Cool. And for that, I'm going to add 0 for X and 0 for Y for the first level. Now for the second level, I'm going to right-click, duplicate, and add 100, 100, which were the values we found out here, to the X and Y of the bouncer positions list. So now our lists should show 0, 0 for level 1 and 100, 100 for level 2. So if we just go to level 2, then our bouncers should show up in the correct place over here, which is X 100 and Y 100. Awesome. And now let's add them for levels 3 and 4 as well. So I'm going to go inside of the bouncer's costume. I'm going to select one, Control C, go to the map, go to level 3, and I don't think I'm going to add any bouncers in this one. I'm just going to add sand. Now let's go to level 4, and I'm going to Control V or paste it. Cool, so this is going to be the 4th level. And now I'm just going to drag this map away, select all of these bouncers, press Control C, or we can actually press Control X, which removes and copies our bouncers. And then I'm going to drag the map back, and I'm going to go inside of our bouncers costumes, and then create a new costume. And keep in mind, this is our 3rd costume, which is the 3rd level, and we don't want any bouncers for the 3rd level. So I'm going to leave this blank, and I'm going to create one more costume. This is the 4th level because this is the 4th costume, and then I'm going to Control V to paste the bouncers. Now I just want to center this image, and now we have our bouncers for the 4th level. Now I'm just going to determine the bouncers' X and Y positions. And one thing I forgot to add is that we have to make sure the bouncers go to the item level of bouncer positions X minus scroll X and item level bouncer positions Y minus scroll Y, so that it actually goes to these X and Y positions we set inside of the list. Okay, now for level 3, the bouncers aren't going to show, but I still have to add the X and Y positions anyways, so I'm just going to say 0, 0. And then for level 4, we don't know where we want the bouncers, so we will have to just try it out. So I'm actually going to just drag level 4 to become level 1, and same for the bouncers. And I'm also going to move the 4th map collider to the front. Cool. So now level 4 is our 1st level, and we can change the bouncers' positions based off of where we want them. So I'm going to take these off, and I'm going to maybe try X 0. Okay, maybe negative 50, maybe 150. Okay, so around 240 for the X and 180 for the Y. So I'm going to put 240 to bouncer positions X, and also 180 to bouncer positions Y. And to make all of this neater, let's make it similar to what we did to our goal positions. So let's go to My Blocks, create a new block. I'll say add bouncer position, and then create 2 new number inputs. I'll write X and Y and click OK. Now under this, let's right click, duplicate, drag X in here, Y in here. And now instead of all of these, we can just do add bouncer position 0, 0, which is the first 2. And then add bouncer position 100, 100, which is the second 2. Add a bouncer 0, 0, which is the third 2. And lastly, add bouncer position 240, 180, which is the last 2. Cool. Now we have our bouncer positions for all 4 levels. So as you can see, this is level 4, and I am just going to now reset the level so that level 4 is the 4th level. So the map collider, and bouncers. Cool. Now I'm going to do the same for the sand. So I am going to just drag these inside of the sand sprite, just like that. And for the bouncers, make sure to put this back in the correct position. All right, now inside of the sand sprite, instead of bouncer positions X and Y, we want sand positions X and Y. So sand positions X, sand positions Y. And let's add X to sand positions X, sand positions Y, and also delete all of sand positions X and sand positions Y when the flag is clicked. And also inside of this go to XY, we want to go to item level of sand positions X and also item level of sand positions Y. Okay, now I'm going to do the exact same thing I did for the bouncers, but for the sand. All right, so now I added all of my sand positions. Here they are. And also make sure to edit and rename this to be called add sand position. Now the last thing I have to do is that I also want to add our 2 new goal positions for levels 3 and 4. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, now I have all 4 of my goal positions, and now we can just try the game out. So this is the first hole. All right. And then we have the second hole. We have 2 bouncers over here. I will just quickly try to go through them just to show you all of the maps. Okay, we have some sand. All right. And we have the final one over here, which is a bit more complicated. Okay. Go up here. And we have our hole over here. Cool. Now that was all of the 4 maps, and now once we finish this hole, I want a you win screen. So to do that, let's go inside of our code. And first off, inside of the stage, I want to create a new variable and call this total levels. And click OK. All right, now I want to set total levels to 4. And inside of the ball sprite, I am going to go to events, levels to 4. And inside of the ball sprite, I am going to find our begin level complete. And inside of here, let's grab an if else and check if our level is less than our total levels. If so, we want to go to the next level. So we can just drag this broadcast level complete and stop other scripts in Sprite inside of the if. Else, that means we're on the last level. So let's just broadcast a new message. I'll call this you win. And click OK. And after that, I am just going to add a stop all. All right, now we want to add our you win screen. So I'm going to create a new sprite. I'll call this win screen. All right. And I'm going to paint a simple gray square something like that. And I'm going to set it to 0, 0, and I'll type you win. Okay, something like this. And I'll also add text saying you beat all of the levels in and then strokes. So we are going to keep track of how many strokes we took to beat all of the levels. And I'm also going to make the you win screen actually green to make it look a bit better. And inside of the code, I'm going to go to events and grab a win flag clicked. Then I'm going to hide this screen. And I'm going to create a new variable called total shots and click OK. So I'm going to set total shots to 0 when the flag is clicked. And I'm also going to hide the total shots variable. And I'm going to go to events and drag a when I receive, you win. Then I'm going to show the total shots variable and go to the front layer and show. And just in case, I am also going to grab a stop all and put it at the end. And now I want to go inside of the ball sprite, and inside of shoot, we want to change total shots by 1. So now if we just try this out, then once we complete all of the levels, then the you win screen appears and it says the total number of shots. But this is not in the format that I want. We can just right click this variable and make this into a large readout and drag this over here. And now that should be better. Now the last thing I want to add is a restart system, because right now we have a certain number of shots left for that certain level, and once the shots left go to 0, I want the map to restart. And I also want each level to have a different number of shots left. So to add that, let's first go inside of stage and let's create a new list. I'll say level shots left and click OK. So when the flag is clicked, let's first delete all of level shots left. And let's add the number of shots we want for that level to level shots left. So for the first level, I'll add 3 to level shots left. And for the second level, I'll add 4 to level shots left, or maybe 5. And for the third level, I'll add 4. And for the fourth level, I'll add, let's say, 12 or 10. And let's put this after the delete all. Now we want to set shots left to item level of level shots left. So item level of level shots left. So this will happen every time we switch to a new level. All right, now inside of the ball, let's go inside of our check if aim. So let's grab an if and drag it before the set x and y velocity, but after the wait until. And let's go to operators, grab an and let's grab a lesser than and an equals to operator. And we want to check if our shots left for that level is less than 1, and if we have not reached the goal. So and reached goal equal to no, then we want to restart that level. So let's go to control, wait 1 second, and then go to events. Let's broadcast a new message. Let's say restart. All right. And now we can just drag a when I receive, restart. Then let's first stop other scripts in this sprite. And let's reset the shots left counter. So go to variables and set shots left to item level of level shots left. And we can just go to events and broadcast preview level. And that essentially previews the same level again. And everything should restart. So let's try it out. And once we run out of shots, so 2 shots left, 1 shot left, and 0. And the game restarts just like that. Awesome. And if we go to the next level, then that level has 5 shots instead of 3. And the game will still restart if we have 0 shots. But anyways, that's all we have for this game, so let's try it out. So this is hole number 1, and we have 3 shots to get to the hole. So let's try aiming somewhere over here. All right, there is the goal. Let's try going in. Cool. Level complete. Let's go to the next level. Okay, hole 2. We have these things. What are these? Let's see. Okay, these seem like bouncers, so they bounce the ball around. And we have to make sure to get the ball in within this many shots. So let's try to get in the hole. All right, the ball is bouncing around. And let's go in. Hopefully this makes it. Oh, that was so close. Okay. Maybe, okay, nope. Last shot. We have 1 shot left, so let's get in. Cool. Now let's go to the next level, hole 3. We have this thing, so let's see what this does. Okay, so this seems to make the ball go really slowly. Barely made it. And let's go on to hole 4. Alright, so this seems like a big level because we have 10 shots, and there's tons of bouncers, so let's just try sending it. Oh, okay. Ball is bouncing around a lot. Let's try over here. Okay. Alright, I will stop playing around and try to get to the end of the level. So there's bouncers and sand, which makes this extra difficult, as you can tell. Okay, I have 3 shots left, and I'm going backwards. Oh, the ball is going in an infinite loop. Will I be able to leave that? Let's see. Okay, so we ran out of shots, so let's try it again. All right. Almost there. And there is the goal. Let's not hit that. Oh, we hit that. Okay, let's go to the goal. And we made it. Awesome. We beat all the levels in 26 strokes. And that is the entire game. But anyways, that's it for this entire video and for this entire series. If you enjoyed it, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe too if you haven't already. Also, this project will be shared on my Scratch profile. Link is in the description below. But anyways, that's it for this video. See ya!